the seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, here we go. The Monday Club is back on a Monday for a change, on time for a change. The Bhoycie brothers are with you. We're still marvelling at what was an outstanding result for Glasgow Celtic yesterday in what has been a slightly underwhelming second half of the title race because it's been so fucking one-sided. We thoroughly had a good time yesterday on the bus. I don't know how many of you were able to join, all six of us that were on the screen yesterday, but there was a lot of dancing, singing going on, and some good patter. I had a thoroughly good time yesterday. I hope each and every one of you did as well, because we deserve it. We thoroughly deserve it, I think, after last season's, clusterfuck of a season, let's be honest. I mean, it was really satisfying this year to see the turnaround that's occurred. We're going to talk at length about, Mr. Postecoglou and what he's done and how amazing the Celtic side is doing. However, you have to let me self-indulge just slightly at the beginning, because today is the day, Jonathan. The merchandise is released. It is live on the shop, Jonathon Boyce. Are you going to be buying a Boyce'S t-shirt?
Oh, you better believe it.
Yes,
believe it. Huge announcement with the tops. Looking forward to seeing how well they do on the site. I think Fanboy Football has done an amazing job with them as well, from what I've seen.
Oh, he has indeed. I need to get the link actually set up on the channel. Fanboyfootball.com. I've been a joy to work with. What we've done as well, as I said, I was always going to try and make them as reasonably priced as possible. There's three options for the t-shirts. If you look at that wee bottom green one that says "Don't back down, double down." Scott Cameron was the first out the box. So Jonathan, he had one bought on. He was in the know before they were released, before the announcement today, and he had purchased one by 4:30 today. So Scott Cameron will be the first one to have a Boyce'S t-shirt, which is pretty cool. And then, just so you know, you'll see £20 is the price there. I've waived all the postage and packaging, something I wanted to do. So you will get shipping for free, whatever it is that it's going. As I say, I always try and, that just takes out of my profit, basically. That's fine with me. I want to make things, Jonathan, reasonably priced and fair. I feel that is in working with the ethics of the bus so far. Would you not agree?
I would absolutely agree with that. It's a brilliant thing to be doing, and obviously nobody likes paying more on postage when they get towards signing off and just getting something bought, and then you find out you've got an extra £4, whatever it is, delivery charge. So they will
I
be
know.
loving the fact they're getting that.
Paul McFarlane's ordered one as well. This is outstanding. And, you know, everything we do is very deliberate. You know I look like the dafty, you know, drinking the dragon soup on a Monday and all that. But there's half a wee brain up here. And I thought, we're all in a great mood today. So why not do it on the Monday after what was a beautiful Sunday? Just find the wee link into the comments there on the fanboyfootball.com site. Anyone who wants to purchase it, Sean the Mac says, are they free to Ireland? The postage is covered by us, mate, so don't worry about it. I don't care. I would rather you had one and I made 10 pence off it than, you know, a couple of quid. It's really not my style. Jim Dolan wants to know what sizes they go to. It's a great question, mate. I mean, they don't have extra small, which is a bit disappointing. They go up to 2XL, Jim. So it's large, small, medium, extra large, and 2XL. So hopefully that'll cover as many of you as possible. I'll need to wear a baggy size small, Jonathan. Do you know what I mean?
We'll be rocking the baggy clothing. That's what we'll be doing. We'll be trying to see baggies trendy again.
Well, that's definitely what I'll need to be doing.
Like you hit the gym a bit more, Russell. Get those old biceps all trained up.
I'll be needing to, mate. I'll be needing to. Anyway, that's enough of that. I just wanted to do the wee announcement at the start. And like I say, another huge thanks to fanboyfootball.com, because we couldn't have imagined, even so far, that that sponsorship would go as well as it has and turn into like a partnership like this. It's all good. All good. Jim Dolan says he's a triple XL. Oh, what can you do, mate? I don't have much to say with the sizes, unfortunately. Liam Collo says he's a 5XL. I highly doubt that, young man. I highly doubt that. Right, okay. The small amount of football, Jonathan, we better talk about that, eh?
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, yesterday we go 6 points clear at the summit, Jonathan. We are very much on top of the league, looking down on the Rangers. Everyone's buzzing with it. 700 fans were lucky enough to be there. Same outcome as usual, empty seats from them. Our boys having a party. No wonder they don't want Celtic fans at that ground.
Yeah, no, that's not surprising at all that they don't want them back in whatsoever. I don't think they'll be changing the allocations again anytime soon after them. Wow.
No.
But, you know, I think it was just such a big win. I said on Saturday there was the opportunity to deliver a knockout blow, and Celtic have just went and delivered a haymaker in terms of the title race. Their rivals are now flat out for the count. It is game, set and match as far as the title race has gone after that result yesterday.
Oh, I love that boldness, Jonathan. I love that boldness. We will get to that because I think a lot of fans are feeling that sort of wave of optimism right now, and rightfully so. We're allowed to feel, and we're allowed to look 5 games ahead, by the way. You know, I think so often you find now with, whether it be fan media, you know, whether it be Celtic fan media or any other club's fan media, we don't need to say the generic pish like, oh, well, actually, Jonathan, I'm just taking 1 game at a time. Fuck. I've already booked the Scottish Cup final off and we're not even in it yet. Do you know what I mean? That's what you do. So I'm not having any, excuse me, I'm not having any of that, generic media trained sort of footballer answers. We're fans. We're allowed to get carried away. And right now, this bus is carried away, Jonathan, what Celtic are managing to achieve right now. And it's just amazing to think that where we were, where we now are. And we have to be honest, Jonathan. I mean, the day started with the news Kyogo wasn't in the squad. That was obviously disappointing for us all. Because we'd spoke about him at length, obviously, on the bus on the Saturday night, and how much fear he could put up them with his inclusion in the first team squad, whether it be on the bench or as a wild card in the starting lineup. It was a bit disappointing. Did we really miss him?
I don't think we did in the end, and I think, to be fair, I think Postecoglou played another mind game there, even though he claims he doesn't play mind games. I think he was always planting the seed, looking back on it now, to just say, oh, he's fit, and I'm going to let them think about him possibly going in, and then he's just going to be like, you know what, he's not actually going to be, he's not ready yet. We'll keep him for another day, maybe saving him for the Scottish Cup semi-final. It'd be good to see him get some minutes next week against St Johnstone. But I felt it was a very clever thing on Ange's part. I think he probably knew earlier in the week this was going to be too soon for Kyogo, but rather than actually ruling him out, he's just said, well, everyone's available apart from Forrest. And I think people were then joining the dots and expecting Kyogo to play some part in the game, and that would include Rangers, would have been then thinking, Christ, we might have to adapt our position for him coming in. And then again, Ange just completely goes the other way, and he's not even in the squad, just pulls out another rabbit out of his hat, and he seems to be doing that all season. He's got a bloody zoo, I think, in that hat, how many bloody rabbits he's pulling out. But yeah.
It's like a zoo in that hat because he's pulling that many rabbits out. Very good, Jonathan. Although I've got to remind you, I've never seen a rabbit at the zoo before, but I take your point. I take your point.
Well, petting zoo, Russell. You might see a wee rabbit in there with like the goats and whatever else. I think I'm still drunk from the night before. I need to go to my bed.
Well, we will get to that. We will get to that, Jonathan, because I know you had a lively day yesterday, absolutely celebrating, and quite rightly so. As Phil McGinley says, Jonathan, you were talking at length on the Saturday about the knockout. You said it was going to be a knockout blow Celtic would deliver if they were to get the win. Phil McGinley wants you to give us your knockout of the week. We're going to make that a regular feature. We can have a wee bit of time to think about it. I won't put you on the spot yet. But yeah, on Kyogo, I think Ange, as I said on the Saturday, we're talking about mind games. I says, don't let him fool you that he doesn't play mind games. Don't get involved in that stuff, mate. I'm like, yes, you do. You 100% do. Because what he did was, he will argue now, I never once said Kyogo was involved in the squad. I didn't even mention Kyogo's name. He didn't. All he said was, James Forrest is the only player injured. Very, very clever.
Yes. He knows it. He knows what he's doing. He knows his way around the words, and the media just fall into his traps that he so delicately puts out, and he makes everyone look silly time and time again. I'm surprised we're even falling for it, still at this stage. But he's just got some way with his words, and he just knows how to play the media like a fiddle.
Conor McCann, Maeda ran past me on the M8 this morning. I seen one post. I don't know what the boy's called. Simon Boyle on Twitter, and he says, "Here, I'm just sitting thinking, how fast do you think Maeda gets his hoovering done, by the way? Wee Henry will be back in his cupboard before he knows what's hit it." And yeah, whilst there's no Kyogo, when you've got the pace and work rate of someone like Maeda coming in, Jonathan, the strength and depth is there to be seen. I thought Maeda, again, was a fantastic contributor to the team yesterday. Again, not always the most easy on the eye with the ball at his feet at times and stuff, but the contribution he makes, he's very much in the template I think Ange is looking for his team profile to have. I think Maeda is a long-term first team starter for Ange Postecoglou going forward. And you can see the benefits he brings is there to be seen, especially in that sort of game where you need people that can give you that sort of shift. I mean, I would love to know how many kilometres he covers. It looks like he's doing double what everyone else is. I'm not a stato, but if anyone knows how many kilometres he's covering in games compared to the rest, maybe it's just because the pace he does it makes it stand out more, but his work rate does look phenomenal. And that is why I think the Kyogo thing, we didn't really miss him in the end at all. Of course, it would be brilliant to have him back involved, but I think really the Kyogo thing, as you said, Jonathan, was very much an Ange Postecoglou mind trick, albeit it was a bad start to the day when you realised he wasn't in the squad, because Ange's mind tricks don't just revolve around the opposition and the media. They actually trick us as well sometimes, That's just the way it goes. But speaking of bad starts, 2 minutes in, and the 400 grand a week myth midfielder scores. We were under the cosh initially, Jonathan. In fact, when they scored, I kind of rolled my eyes. If I'm honest, even though it was only 2.5 minutes in, it felt like it was coming. Yeah,
it was about as bad a start as we could possibly envision. Really, it doesn't get any worse than that. And there was a point where you're thinking, when it goes to 1-0 so early on, with them having the crowd on their side, you're thinking this could end up being a reverse of Celtic Park if we don't get our act together quickly. And the crucial thing was how quickly we responded to that setback. And I kind of feel that's the difference. Probably between the two games, actually. If you were going to go back and look at the one at Celtic Park, Rangers had no answer when Celtic struck early and they crumbled. And it was the opposite at Ibrox. Celtic had a bit of a shaky start, but they weathered it. And because they hit back so quickly, they actually found their feet. But it just goes to show the resilience of this team, and that mentality is really what, for me, is the biggest difference between the two sets of clubs. It's just unbelievable how much Celtic can just dig into those sort of moments. But nice to see Aaron Ramsey getting his wee moment. I'd hate for 400 grand a week. At least he got a wee goal out of him, so he's not been all worth. They got a wee 2 minutes of joy for 400 grand a week. Doesn't sound the best business, does it?
No, I mean, I think definitely. I mean, the goal aside, I mean, I know they were obviously the team chasing, and to be fair, I think if we're being honest, he's the type of guy, if you're bringing him off after an hour, firstly, it does tell you, I mean, he really wasn't fit enough to be, heralded as the signing it was. Even I thought it was a brilliant signing at first.
Oh, I think everyone did.
When you look back, well, they didn't really have it. I think I said it on Twitter and got lynched, to be honest with you, but no change there. But yeah, I mean, they took him off and they were chasing a goal. I didn't think he was very effective, Jonathan, other than getting that goal. He didn't think he had a game to write home about. It's not about what they do, though. It's about how Celtic react, Jonathan.
Correct.
Now, I've got to be honest, those opening 5 minutes, Juranovic, I was saying yesterday, I mean, he looked like an imposter. I thought it was like someone fucking bumped Juranovic's shirt and wearing a Juranovic mask. He didn't look like he could. He didn't look like he'd ever played football before, mate, if I'm honest to you. And it was simple passes that we were making look so complicated. Starfelt looked like at the start that he was going back to maybe where he was 6 months ago when he was on the ball.
Yeah.
And it was all looking very scary. But, Jonathan, in moments like that, you need to then look at experienced players. The two guys that were unscared of the ball, firstly was Tom Rogic. He plays in slippers, so of course he can control the ball and make it all look very natural at any stage, no matter what pressure he's under. I mean, having the pipe in his mouth in the second half was maybe taking the piss, but hey, it's up to him. But McGregor's moment, Jonathan, we need to talk about it because I think this is the sliding doors moment of the match. Now, I appreciate we get a goal from it, and that can exaggerate how big a moment it was for McGregor. But my gut tells me no matter what, even if we hadn't scored from the move, he had changed the tone. He'd changed Celtic's mentality. He'd flipped it, Jonathan.
Yes.
That's what he did. He realised all around him, our team, for whatever reason, were a bit spooked. And we were a bit spooked. Whether we like it or not, we fucking were. Right? And that is just the harsh reality was, for whatever reason, Celtic were a bit spooked. He sensed it. And he decides, I'm taking that ball for a run. Now, what that does is, Jonathan, the other 10 players get such a lift, it reminds them all, hey, we can actually play football. This is what we're meant to be doing. It inspires a wee bit. And, of course, it poses a question of Rangers, which I never found wanting. They actually didn't expect, because of the start they were having, the last thing they thought was McGregor was going to take on 3 players and run direct into the box. And, of course, he does. And he still gets that wee bit of end product, managing to slide in and get the cutback, which, again, on another day, Rogic's shot then could have went in, and it's suddenly the assist of the season by Callum McGregor. Anyway, a couple of scrappy moments, Hatati's shot, etc. A cool finish from Rogic. But McGregor's moment, forget that the goal came in the back of it, Jonathan.
Yeah.
That, to me, was that was his moment this season that rubber stamps the new era of Celtic captaincy. It marks a new era of leadership. Now, Scott Brown, there's no right or wrong here, by the way. Scott Brown would have done it with a 40-60 challenge against, odds against them, and just managed to win it and give everyone a lift, or be noising up one of the opponents or whatever it was. And again, nothing wrong with that. Callum McGregor decides to do it a completely different way, which is fine. And I think that is when you finally, not because he, by the way, I think he's been an excellent captain all year. I just think that was a real moment last on Sunday where I think we've went, that's our boy now. Like, that is the captain. It was a brilliant moment, that, and he deserves any sort of praise that he gets for it.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I don't think, if we're going to be looking back over derbies in years to come, that is going to be the point people remember about this one that was played on Sunday, is that run from McGregor when our backs were up against the wall. We were looking as if we were staring down the barrel of a heavy possible defeat with how that game was starting. It wasn't looking clever. And, you know, he just gets the ball and he lifts and galvanizes the players. And, you know, it's just such a weight off their shoulders to be able to see the captain taking the ball on, taking the men on. And, you know, at points he was second best and he still managed to find a way through. And, you know, as you rightly say, if the ball goes in initially from the cutback, then my goodness, you're talking about one of the assists of all time that we'd have seen as a Celtic supporter. But, you know, he just drives them all on, and you can just tell he's such a big difference. Callum McGregor is the most important cog in the Celtic wheel, and I think sometimes he's almost forgotten about because he's actually just so good at that job, and you realise how much you miss him when he's not there, like he was when he got his fractured cheekbone earlier in the season. And I just felt yesterday, even without that run and everything else, he was outstanding on top of that, and he controlled that midfield. And I felt, you know, having Rogic in there, he isn't going to do as much of the running, you know, as some of the other midfield options that we've got. And I thought Hatate was a little bit slower at getting up to the speed of the game yesterday.
He looked burst, let's be honest. Hatate looked absolutely out on his feet. I thought he could have been taken off earlier. Again, not a criticism, but I don't know what J League Maeda was playing in, Jonathan. Him and Hatate seem to have had a completely different J League season to each other.
Maeda definitely had the tougher paper under the two of them by the sounds of it. But I think, you know, because Hatate wasn't playing as well as he can, I felt McGregor was actually having to cover a lot more blades of grass. One, to accommodate having Rogic, who is your luxury player, in there, and as you say, the same place in the slippers, he can do what he likes. You're not expecting him to go running about chasing everyone down. That's just not his style. And because Hatate was a bit off the pace, I felt McGregor was having to really do a job for almost three of them in there, and he made it look effortless at times. He really did.
Jonathan, moments like that McGregor did is so important, especially when it's quite a young side. We've spoke about this as well, that I think a lot of that Celtic team haven't been over the course. I thought the inclusion of Rogic was one that me and you, again, we don't kid on to be Nostradamus on the bus or ITK or any of that bollocks, but we did predict a lineup on the Saturday night show, and both me and you opted for, or thought Ange would opt, as well as us wanting it, Rogic to start. It was the right call. What you find is, it's brilliant Ange bringing in a whole influx of new players, and let's be honest, 90% have been hits, Jonathan. Do you know what I mean? It's been a very good strike rate in the transfer market from Ange Postecoglou. However, Ange recognises you need to balance that. Now, firstly, what he did was by bringing in experienced players like Joe Hart coming in. I think it was a huge thing because he knew the other guys he was looking at were going to be, you know, early 20s. So bringing a goalkeeper, you know, mid-30s with a wealth of experience, obviously have to be affordable, but he knew the off-field benefits that would bring as much as what he can bring in goals. I then look at the starting 11 and the reason, and Ange may well think O'Reilly's my boy going forward and that's his long-term one in there, but he knew Tom Rogic won't be phased if we go, for example, a goal down early. I actually thought Rogic at times took the piss yesterday. I'll be completely honest to you. I thought he was absolutely at it yesterday. And he shows as well. This is the thing. I'm saying earlier on about Maeda fits the profile of what Andrew's looking for in his team. Well, Rogic is the absolute opposite of what you would associate as an Ange player. And I think it's wonderful that a maverick like that, Ange still finds a way to make that fit in his, you know, what was a full-strength squad bar James Forrest, remember? And maybe Kyogo. And you're looking at, and he's managed to get a guy who, you know, is pretty one-paced in that regard. He's a bit of a throwback player, I think, Tom Rogic, you know? I think Tom Rogic, you know, at 29, 10 years ago, would been like a Chris Commons or something like that for scoring a bucket load. Back then, you know, that you know what I mean? I think football's obviously get a lot faster paced and he can look quite slow and stuff, but I love how Andrew's found a way and his strongest 11, and that's what Andrew was looking for yesterday, was to pick his strongest possible 11 for the biggest game of the season probably in the league. Rogic finds his way in there, totally justified as well. The experience of McGregor and Rogic shone through, Jonathan, when Celtic were having the wobbly patch. See the fact we got it back to 1-1, Yet it felt like it was so one-sided, shall we say, in Rangers' favour, that opening exchange. Even after we scored, I thought the next 5 minutes, still it felt like, fucking hell, it's wave after wave from them. How important is it to have that blend, Jonathan? Well, whilst we all want Ange to go out and get whoever he wants, and that'll be the message that we all send come the end of the season. Whoever he wants, go get them.
Yep.
How important is it, though, to have guys with that wee bit of know-how, particularly in that fixture yesterday?
Yeah, I think it's crucial. I think you do need people that know the fixture and going into these games. It's always can take a bit of time for a lot of players to get up to speed with what that match is all about. To be honest, when you're bringing people in, particularly from different countries who have no real knowledge of how the game is going to play out, you're going into such a hostile environment when you're going to Ibrox, and it's pretty much all Rangers fans by your tiny 700 Celtic fans in the corner that you can't really hear over all the noise that they're creating. And I think you do need players that are experienced. You need players that are cool and calm and collected. And I think when it comes to guys like Callum McGregor and Tom Rogic, they are just completely unfazed by the whole thing. They just can completely tune that whole noise out, and they just go into the sort of mode of game day. We're going to get this done. And I think, when even when the ball comes back out to Tom Rogic, it's even the finish. It's so lazy. I almost thought he just kind of just puts his foot out at it and just kind of comfortably taps it home, and he doesn't even make that big of a fuss over it either. Like, a lot of people would have been like jumping about, going absolutely crazy. Giakoumakis strikes out as someone who'd have probably had the top off if it was him, scoring a goal like that. Whereas Rogic is such a cool, calm customer. He's always like, "This for fun, guys. I mean, what's the big deal? Do this all the time."
Well, Jonathan, we've seen the Rangers TV commentary now, and that, I mean, it is special.
Award-winning content, I would say. Award-winning.
Oh, you'll get a slap in the wrist for that. What I'll say, though, is when Tom Rogic's goal went in, I know the Rangers commentators getting slagged for saying, goals given, like he's in shock. I'll be totally honest, I thought he was offside too. Not because he looked offside, but your mind plays a wee trick on you when you can't hear the fans cheer.
Aye.
It was so strange. And then, of course, as you rightfully point out, and this is what triggered this, Rogic is so, blasé and calm about it. Like, as you say, Giakoumakis would be off with the top and going mental. Tom Rogic was like, meh. And I'm like, what happened there? Was it offside or not? And then you realise it was given. And, it just goes absolutely nuts. Scott Howe coming, 1-0! 1-0!
Ramsey!
The guy seems harmless, whoever he is, but oh my god, he gives you moments that are just too good. 1-0!
You could put him on a tour on the Hydro or something, Russell. He could make a living out of stuff like this, telling his wee stories, I think. Guy's a comedian.
I think he already does, mate. I think he already does. So, we've got it back to 1-1. Undoubtedly, Jonathan, I thought Rangers high press caused us bother. I felt they tired after 15, 20 minutes of doing it. They tried to play Ange ball on Ange's team. And what I actually think you realise is, see that high press that we play? No wonder we've been tiring in second halves. Rangers tried to basically play us at our own game. And yes, they had a bit of success initially. But after 15, 20 minutes, you could see they can't keep this up. Yeah. They could not keep that press up. And I think that's actually testament to how long we managed to do it for out of 90 minutes. We usually get 55, 60 minutes of it like that and then naturally fall off. They only got to 15, 20 and they were, completely became a different team the rest of that first half. It was actually Celtic that were creating the clear-cut chances. Let's be totally honest. It was us that looked far, far more likely by halftime. Albeit, Jonathan, I didn't think we were playing particularly brilliant. I think we've played much better. But is that even more of a psychological blow to your rivals? When they'll know deep down, they're not even playing that well. And yet the clearer cut chances that we should say, I wouldn't say there were any that were totally clear cut. Tom Rogic has one over the bar. Maeda's penalty shout. The clean through one where Rogic picks it up from McGregor's hands, rounds him, and then it's blocked by, I think it was Calvin Bassey. These opportunities were Celtic's creations, and I just think That's not us at our best. I think that deflates the opposition when they go in at half-time, Jonathan.
Oh yeah, no, I have to agree with you there. I think the Celtic had more gears they could have went through throughout the game, but Rangers didn't really have a lot of answers to me. Once we kind of got through those first 15, 20 minutes, Rangers looked as if they were a bit lost as to how to actually work out the Celtic conundrum, if you like. And even with their press, I actually felt Celtic probably played into their hands slightly in those first 15, 20 minutes because we were dilly-dallying on the ball a lot more than we actually, needed to. It's just madness. When you stop and think about it, it's like Carter Vickers is taking the ball for a stroll. Not Carter Vickers, sorry, Starfelt was taking the ball for strolls at times, and he just didn't look as confident as he has done previously. In those opening exchanges, I felt even Joe Hart wasn't quite as composed as he normally is, playing it from the back, and you can put that down to the Rangers press being good. I do think Celtic contributed to that by being a bit slack. But as you say, once Rangers kind of exhausted that option, if you like, and were no longer able to keep that pace and that intensity up, and there was never any doubt that Celtic were going to have enough to see them off, because Rangers didn't offer an awful lot. They had a bit of the ball, but they weren't really creating much at all. I think Joe Hart was like maybe one more save, really like properly decent save, I think, in the second half where he has to get down low to his left. Outside of that, I felt Celtic were reasonably comfortable once they got through that first 15, 20 minutes. And I think that's right. I think that's just purely down to the fact that Rangers were unable to play Ange ball the way that we can.
Totally, mate. Totally. Now, we've got a few Rangers fans watching. I'm having to say to Chunks, just tone it down a wee bit, mate. Come on. I like the banter with Red Baron and the Gallant Pioneer and all that. And they're coming to be pretty honest, to be fair. David Mackay watches the show. I actually work with David. Great boy. And, I don't mind a wee bit of the balanced chat. I mean, Red Baron here saying it's crazy how bad we've been in the league this season. They were saying on the radio last night, Jonathan, they've only won 6 games from 12 in the league under Van Bronckhorst. It's a 50% win ratio. The weirdest thing is, and now maybe I could be accused of being devilish here because it's fun as being a Celtic fan. But there is also a reality to it that bar last season when, I'll be honest, I think from the turn of the year, the league challenge from Celtic was already fucking extinguished, right? It was gone. But in all the other years that Rangers have been in the mix come New Year, they have badly crumbled in the New Year. This was like a throwback to the other Gerrard years, It really was. Like, when you look at the form, Celtic have actually got better. And that's how the season should go, by the way. Especially under new management. It should be that it's a growing process. We're all guilty, Jonathan, being impatient at the start of the season, none more so than me. I'm all for a process and trust this new philosophy, Ange. But as long as you're winning games in the meantime, as we get to grips with it, if you're not, you'll find out in Scotland the fans can turn very quickly, as I'm sure Ange did. But for Rangers' point of view, they just strike me as a side that are doing exactly what they've always done. And again, last year is kind of exempt because Celtic weren't actually in the race come the turn of the year last year. I mean, they must be worried about what happens to them when there's a bit of pressure on the title race. I mean, it was them, by the way, that was 6 points clear come the turn of the year. Celtics went up a gear. They went through the gears. I think recruitment was huge in January. The 3 players we all knew by, mid-December that were joining on the 1st of January? Yeah. Early December we knew. That's clever. That shows you Celtic are very organised this time. And what a fucking difference it makes. Yeah. We've moaned for so long about our recruitment. There's the organisation. Rangers' biggest 2 deals with the last 5 days of the transfer window. That's, I think, again, another big difference. But are we just seeing a return to what we were seeing before? Is there a mentality problem that they've got that maybe actually hadn't subsided last year? It was just Celtic were so far off it, didn't really have much pressure on them after Christmas last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the mentality of the 2 clubs is huge, and I do go back to it. I think in terms of players on the pitch, I think they're pretty evenly matched, but I think when it comes to mentality, Celtic are ahead of them when it comes to domestic matters. It's an interesting one with Rangers because you look at games like this and you end up scratching your head thinking, how can they be this poor in the league, but then they can go so far in Europe? And again, I think it's because they quite like the role of the underdog a lot of their players, and that's why Europe suits them a lot better, because there isn't as much expectancy on them to be winning these types of games. There's huge expectancy on them to win yesterday. They had to win yesterday, and I think because of the fact, that they were at home, they had the full backing of their support. It was a must-win for them. They were expecting that their club would turn up and get the job done. And Celtic just have that mentality where they were just going to be like, no, not today. It's not going to be happening for you. And I just when it comes to mentality, there does seem to be shades of previous seasons coming back in to it for me. And I would take your point. I think last year was just one of those seasons where Celtic just were not out the blocks at all.
No.
Title race was over.
It was over
early on. Yeah, it was over very early on. Rangers could play with complete freedom, knowing even if they did slip up, Celtic were never going to put together a run of results to get them anywhere near the championship. Whereas this year, they're back under pressure. They do need to keep winning games. And once again, post winter break, you're seeing that Rangers are struggling to find the answers to the questions that Celtic are laying down to them. So there is something there for them to clearly look at. But from a Celtic point of view, let's hope they don't learn that lesson. Let's just hope the mentality on our end just continues to go this way.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm totally honest, yes, I'm biased because I support Celtic. I'm not going to apologise for that. But if I'm honest, I think they're going to drop more points in the other games as well. I don't think their points dropping is done. Alex Craig comes in. He wants to know where we can get a T-shirt. I have put another link in the comments, Alex. In fact, I'll just put it in again. The T-shirts are live. I know a few of them have been buying them today already, which is amazing. There's over 200 people on the Boyce bus tonight on a Monday. This is how we do it. If you've not hit the like button, please do, because it helps more folk on YouTube come across the channel when it's live. That we found out to a huge extent yesterday. 539 live we peaked at yesterday, which is mad. If you want to hit subscribe. I'm not going to force it down your throat. It's really not my style. That didn't sound right, but you know what I mean. I'm not going to be like completely going, oh, please hit subscribe. I'm 34 years old. I'm past all that shit. If you like it, hit subscribe. If you don't, jump on the bus anytime you like. It's all good. Right, Jonathan. I think we've spoke enough about them. And I really don't want it to come over like going like this and slagging Rangers off, because the guys that come in the comments, could I just say as well, have been brand new with me. Anyone who's been an arsehole that's been from the other side of the city, I've had no hesitations in blocking. That's fine. But you can have balanced debate with your rivals as well. There's nothing wrong with doing that. And when I'm having a wee pop here and there, there might be a wee bit of tongue-in-cheek banter. But on the whole, the points I'm making right now about a mentality issue there, I'm not. If I ever was a fan of that was my team doing that, I would be questioning the mentality. I would be. And I think that, as I say, I think they'll drop more points this season. For me, Jonathan, we're 6 points clear, so many goals. Is it in the bag or not quite yet? On the back of what we've just been saying there, we both expect Rangers to drop more points. I really do think that will be the case. I think their heads are down now. I think Ryan Jack's head was down before the press conference.
Before the ball was even kicked, Ryan Jack didn't really believe it.
No, I don't know what. See, the thing is, when you're going to do, I think Giakoumakis saying he thinks we're the best team in Scotland, he thinks we'll win the league. Everyone wants you to get egg in your face for saying that, but I don't want a player, Jonathan, who doesn't believe that. Honestly, Get them out the team. I don't want guys that go, oh, well, Rangers are brilliant. It would be some achievement to beat them. No, you should be going in. If you're properly training every day under a top manager like Postecoglou, with the best facilities in Scotland, you should be able to go, aye, I think we're the best team in the country. I'd be concerned if that wasn't your mentality. And then if you're going to come out and call it out 5 weeks later, by the way, I am sure, to be fair, Jack was asked the question about it, of course, but he could have shrugged it off. Instead, he gives this strange car crash press conference where he's got the Joey Barton vibes, with the handshake with Joey Barton and Scott Brown, and the head's lowered, and he didn't even look like he believed what he was saying. And by the way, what happens then with him and Giakoumakis on the field is Giakoumakis leaves a bit on him, and Ryan Jack is doing the wee snidey, like trying to push his face into the ground. Yeah. And of course, the telling photo is then chaos with chaos in his eyes, standing up and sort of eyeballing him, Jonathan, like that.
Yeah.
And he does, and chaos does look absolutely insane. And you're going, that battle between those two, it's definitely 1-0 Giakoumakis, right? I'm sorry. It definitely is. I just wonder,
I
though.
don't think Giakoumakis has really said anything there that wouldn't be getting said, you know, in the dressing rooms of either club. And if the players aren't saying that behind the scenes, then I'd really be questioning what's going on at both clubs. And to be honest with you, because they both are going to be thinking heading into that game that they would end the season as league champions. You've got to, when you get to this stage of a title race, believe you're going to be winning the league. I don't care whether you're a Celtic player or a Rangers player before that game was kicked off. But it did seem as if Celtic were the ones who had a lot more self-belief than their counterparts. And, you know, I think Giakoumakis certainly got one over Jack. I think Jack really wasn't handling it well at all yesterday. And I think that's why his frustrations ended up boiling over, because I think he was hoping he was going to put Giakoumakis in his place in terms of how he was feeling about the whole comment situation. But I think Giakoumakis is in his head now, and I think he's got a psychological edge already on Ryan Jack, and that's something that might well come back into play when we play them again in the Scottish Cup, and then obviously there'll be another league meeting as well this month probably too. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops. But I would imagine there's a few more chapters yet to be written in that saga between those two. And I think Giakoumakis is going to come out on top because he is chaos, and we are big fans of George on the show.
We are fans of Chaos Giakoumakis, and you know, I got a tweet yesterday off someone, I can't remember who, but they just so succinctly commented, they were just casually calling Maeda Danger Maeda. I was smiling, Jonathan. I was like, oh, that's good. That's stuck. I like that. Chaos Giakoumakis works. I don't like Jacko. I'm not calling him Jacko, man. That's just fucking all right. That just makes you think of that creepy pop star. Do you know what I mean? So no, Chaos Giakoumakis. Chaos Giakoumakis for me. Now, obviously, the question is, Jonathan, do you think it's in the bag? We don't like to say what we think. We're not, you know, professional media trained players who need to go, it's only 3 points, one game at a time. See, when you see fan media doing that, just fuck off and apply for a job at the Daily Record, because honestly, you're embarrassing me. You get then, Gallant Pioneer comes back in. His vibe, and this is from a Rangers persuasion, is there's not a catch chance in hell Celtic will let this title slip now. You can see the determination and hunger in them, and if anything, we will fall further behind. I'm going to agree with that. Yeah. I think Ange has done so many different bits of this right. See, when we were under the cosh, and he had players either out injured like Giakoumakis, who, I mean, imagine him the first 6 months of the season. What a difference that would have made now with the benefit of hindsight. You look at the players that we didn't have, obviously, that arrived in January, and you're going, he stayed so calm, kept them all just believing at that time. Stay in the race, stay in the race. See, since we've got in front, Celtic hasn't looked back. Celtic got to places like Livingston and put on, an end of, what was it? How many years was that? 2006 or 7, I think it was. 16 years since we'd last won there. He batters them. You know, we hadn't won a Celtic Rangers game for 8-9 games. Batters them. You know, I think Celtic actually, once they've got their noses in front, he's got a ruthless side, Ange, as well. I don't think he lets this team. I know everyone's saying right now the common statement is we don't fucking stop, right? And I love that. Genuinely, I don't think we do, though. I think between now and then, the next 6 games in the league, he's going to treat them all as cup finals.
You're right. Oh, definitely. I think that's exactly what he's going to be doing here. Postecoglou, he's got them into this position now, and I would have to agree with the Gallant Pioneer as far as I'm concerned. The title race is over. As I said on Saturday, Celtic were on the brink of doing a knockout blow. Rangers were on the ropes, and you were just wondering, would Celtic be able to deliver that final punch? And they did it with aplomb yesterday. They did it, and they did it well. So for me, there's absolutely no danger that Celtic won't go on to win this championship now. St Johnstone at home next week. After the split, you're talking, it should be 3 home games as well. It would be an absolute disaster if Celtic did not go on to win the championship now, in my opinion. And, you know, I would have to say Rangers are going to have the distraction of, European games to come, as well as now trying.
It's an exciting distraction, though. It is an exciting distraction.
Oh yeah, no, that's not. That's. I mean, it's giving them something to keep going for now, because domestically their season is looking like it's all hinging on the Scottish Cup. But that gives them something to look forward to. But in and amongst that, there's the potential there they could end up falling further behind, and this ends up becoming a very much a bit more of a drubbing in terms of points. That they end up losing this championship race by, because I think Celtic will beat them again at Celtic Park in a couple of weeks. The Scottish Cup game, I think it could go either way, but I think at Celtic Park will beat them again.
Yeah, no. I mean, the Scottish Cup semi-final, I wouldn't be so bold as of yet, but I think you're right. The Celtic Park game for us won't be able to come quick enough. It'll be one that's on the horizon for them, where they'll not be looking forward to that. It's going to be a proper sort of party day as well. I feel like the vibe could be very much like the title's on by then, and I think it will be a party-esque vibe. Now, Ryan Kelly comes in. Brilliant to have you on board. The boss, Ryan. Hope you're good, mate. He says, we've definitely got the right manager to keep the team grounded for this running, which I agree with. I'm sure the 220 watching live right now, Jonathan, all agree as well. Ange Postecoglou, this is just the beginning. Jonathan, the guy now is sitting, and I've kind of hinted at this a couple of months ago, hypothetically, if we were to get into the position we now are in, which, well, we're not quite there yet, but we're very close. And as you say, bar one hell of a collapse. Ange has this board over a barrel now, Jonathan. He came in and he took on the shittiest situation left by a board you could ever imagine. Still under stupid rules like, we need to sign players for you, like McCarthy, Scales. But now, I'm nothing personal against them, but they're quite clearly weren't Ange Postecoglou signings, right? We're going to make you, well, I'm not saying make you, but they've obviously not put it on a plate like they were trying with Eddie Howe. The contrast of packages Celtic put together for those two managers is in stark contrast. Eddie Howe was coming with all his merry men, all 25 of them. Director of football, they were going to let Eddie Howe pick. Have you ever had anything like it in your life? Yeah. The new managers picking his own director of football. Talk about the tail wagging the fucking dog. I've never heard anything like it. Ange comes in, doesn't get a director of football, Jonathan. He doesn't even get one coach. He has to work with the coaching staff that were of such unpopularity at Celtic at that time. It was startling. He comes in and goes, don't worry about it. Head of recruitment? Nah, sorry, Ange, you don't get one of them either. So he's got none of these advantages, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Remember I told you, where do we chat on one of the early Monday clubs? I think he likes it that way. I think he likes the fact it's all on him, because I think he had inner belief that it would go well, and then see when it does, I'm going to get all the praise, right? The fans are not going to back down on me. They're going to double, treble down on Ange Postecoglou. See now, if Ange says jump, that board now have to say how high or we revolt. That is that simple. See if there's a player identified in the summer that costs, I don't care, £10 million, say, for example. And this is all me saying we're league champions, by the way. We win the league, we get that 40 million coming in, provided the Champions League qualification goes as it should. And we've got 40 million there. If Ange wants a £10 million player, no one will be smirking. And the Celtic fans, every Celtic fan will be, piling pressure on that board if they try and resist. And we're getting, the days of missing out on the likes of John McGinn's, for example, are over, in my opinion. I actually think Ange holds more swing now because of what he's achieved than what even Brendan Rodgers did when he first arrived. I think the power is so much with Postecoglou because he's achieved, or is on the brink right now, of achieving the impossible. The board have only managed to not still have constant war with the supporters because of Ange. So in theory, they owe him already. Because all we were talking about, Jonathan, last summer and last season was the war between the fans and the board. Even this year, they tried to cock it up by that Higgins guy they were trying to appoint as head of security or whatever it was. Now, if it weren't for Ange, that becomes toxic.
Yeah.
They owe him big time. And the thing is, one bad move from them, one bit of resistance, one pushback on Ange, and they will have full-blown, I think, warfare on their hands from the supporters, such as the loving we've got for Postecoglou now.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree with you. I think when it comes to Ange, he now needs to end up getting backed by the board. He's done so much for the club, you know, and a lot of it has been with almost an arm tied behind his back with how he's had to work, particularly in the early stages of his time here. But he's pieced it all together, you know, and it's now looking like he is now going to be able to do whatever he wants with the football club, and I think that's exactly how he's wanted it. You know, I was watching one of his interviews, the second interview on Open Goal the other day, and you can tell, like, even wherever he's been before, he doesn't tend to actually bring coaches with him, because he was asked that direct question, and you can tell it's because he quite likes the thought of going in there and transforming a football club on his own terms. And I think, you know, you've seen what he can do at Celtic now, that if, you know, we go on to win the league, which it looks like we should do, then, you know, he would need to get backed by the board with whoever he's wanting. And that probably starts, and we'll get an idea as to how much the board are going to be paying attention and listening when you look at the two loan signings we've got, because they'll be the first bits of business I suspect Ange Postecoglou will want done before he starts even looking at buying in anyone else.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant point as well. We were talking about it the weekend, you know, strike now. See what's this wave of optimism. If I'm Ange, how dare I tell Ange Postecoglou how to do his job? But let's just pretend for a minute. I'm not bad at Championship Manager. I would definitely be saying now, whilst the vibe's so good, whilst Cameron Carter-Vickers is feeling 10 foot tall, as someone was saying at the very, very beginning of tonight's show in the comments, feel 10 foot tall. Think how tall Cameron Carter-Vickers is. You're going to sign that deal, son. Get in his agent's head. Get in the player's head. Yeah. Get these seeds planted now. Now, the beauty, of course, doing it now as well is if, you know, you get Jota's agent saying, fuck off, mate, honestly. Scotland was fun for a year, but it's not going to happen. Sound. That means we've got longer to focus on other targets. But what is so important is if there are other targets identified, this board can't make the same mistakes they did with Brendan Rodgers, Jonathan. This board can't just rest on their laurels and think Ange is lucky to have Celtic. Bullshit. Postecoglou, I'm seeing in the comments, people are suggesting, you know, he'll be getting looked at by the English Premier League already. I think there is. Jonathan, this is, you know, a guy that was already well respected within the City Group, no less. That's how we got him. Let's be honest. It's not a Don Mackay production. It's Peter Lowell's son works for the City Group. That's the tip-off. That's the connection. It was Peter Lowell's last panic attack move. And I don't think it was complete foresight or genius from Peter Lowell. He'd fucked it with Eddie Howe. That's what happened. And luckily got a tip-off that Ange Postecoglou would be available. And let's be honest, he took a gamble because I bet he didn't know much about him either. He was just relying on the fact this guy's got a lot of credibility with the City Group. But if that guy's got credibility with the City Group before Celtic, now he's doing it under the noses of the biggest league in the world. Whether we like it or not, it's the biggest league in the world. Do you know what I mean? I feel you have to keep a guy like Postecoglou happy. That is what you have to do, right? But what I would also say, Ange won't be in a hurry to leave Celtic because I feel he'll be more fucked off than us, Jonathan, at how Europe went this year. Yeah. He'll know the obstacles he faced at the beginning, or maybe it was unfair and stuff like that, but he doesn't make excuses. He said it the other day. We didn't make excuses at the time, we're not going to make them now. But I think his big plan for Celtic won't be winning, Jonathan, a 500 million Scottish Cup or League Cup double. He'll take a hit in those games, I think, going forward if we're in the latter stages of Europe. He wants to do something out of the ordinary with this team. He wants to get us going deep into European competitions. He wants us competing in Europe. That naturally will raise his stock and his profile anyway. That's a byproduct of that. The board have to get it right with Ange this summer. How lucky are we to have him right now? And how long can we keep a hold of him? What does Celtic need to do to keep this guy at the club?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, we're extremely fortunate to have had him. I think we've absolutely lucked out with the whole manager situation last summer. I'm not entirely sure this was a masterclass in terms of the appointment, and the sort of research and everything that had gone into it. But I thought, what a manager to get in. He's just been outstanding, and he's completely revolutionised the club. You went from August fans protesting with the board to now everyone once again singing from the same hymn sheet. And the transformation has just been quite spectacular, really, how fast he has managed to turn this on its head.
Yeah.
English clubs are going to be taking notice of him. I think, he's going to want to hang around anyway, because he'll want another crack at Europe. I think Europe would probably not have been seen as bad if the Conference League hadn't been in effect this season. I think the Conference League left a bit of a bitter taste. I think most people thought we'd get past Bodo Glimt. I thought in the Europa League, the fact he got 9 points in what was quite a difficult group, whilst he was still rebuilding the squad, points towards the fact he can get the job done in Europe. And it was maybe just a case that those games came a bit early in the squad's development. But, next season, if he's got Champions League football, group stage football there to play in, then he's got a huge opportunity to lay a massive marker down, because Celtic haven't been in the Champions League group stages in how many years has it been? Like 7-8 years since the last time we played Champions League group stages. It's been a long time anyway. It'd be Brendan Rodgers. Sorry, it'd be Brendan Rodgers, but 5 years.
2017-18 season.
Yeah, and we got horsed by about pretty much everyone. Yeah, and I think Postecoglou will now be looking at it, and he won't be going into the Champions League thinking we're just going there to make up the numbers. He's going to be going in there thinking we're going to get out of this group, and we're going to try and do as much damage as we possibly can in the competition. And as you rightly say, if he was able to produce big results for Celtic in Europe, because that's what's been sadly lacking for Celtic over the last number of years, is that he'll end up moving on elsewhere. And I'd do the same, mate. I'll end up throwing a tantrum as well if he ends up going.
It's cardboard cutout.
Yeah, get that cardboard cutout in the bin. But that's very, very good, David. But yeah, I think it goes hand in hand. If he does well in Europe next season with Celtic, and continues to improve them domestically, then there's no two ways about it. English clubs are going to be having a sniff around him. They'd be silly not to. I think at this stage it's probably going to be too soon for him this summer anyway to be really generating too much interest. Take your point on the City Group connection, but I think English football, they do tend to look up at Scotland with a bit of disdain unless you've got a track record down south initially, like Brendan Rodgers had, and that's why Leicester came in for him. It was the same, albeit granted, Gerrard didn't have the managerial reputation, but he had obviously been one of the best players in that league for a number of years previous to that, and I think that's why he again got a straight pass into the Premiership too as a manager. But I think with Postecoglou, he'll probably take a bit more time to convince them of that. But I think if he was to do a job in Europe next season, which he is more than capable of doing, by the way, yes, there's absolutely going to be interest, and Celtic will probably not hold on to him, I would say, for longer than like 2 or 3 years probably, if it continues this trajectory the way it's going just now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, in comes Justin Studley. He's actually watching in Australia, so I think it's good morning. I should be saying to you, Justin. Hope you're well, mate. And he's saying Rick and Ange loves being the underdog. I get that. I see that in him. I definitely see that. And he reckons he'd much rather have success in Europe with Celtic than a more typically sort of successful European side. I totally get that as well. I just believe. I think it's just. I mean, firstly, we're not advocating Ange Postecoglou leaving. Can I just say that, by the way? I mean, it's just all this. All this is all compliments to how well he's done. Basically, is what we're trying to say. I think Postecoglou's goal with Celtic always was Europe. Winning the league back's the first and foremost the bread and butter. But when you look at Celtic as a project, and you're leaving a team, by the way, that is, in the J League, a very competitive. So it was like he was in a proper competition there, and obviously getting to feature in the Asian Champions League one year as well, albeit disappointingly. I think he would look at Celtic and go, they get a crack at the Champions League every now and then, don't they? Or more often than not, I should say. Albeit they might not always qualify, but they get a crack at it. I think that's what excites him, big time. And I look forward to next year because we were told he's a second season guy, Jonathan.
Yeah, could you imagine? Could you imagine if this is him just having a poor first season? Christ, will we win the Champions League next season if he's a second season man? It's just crazy.
Mad, eh?
Crazy to think what he might be able to do with another 12 months with these players.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll round it up there with Ange Postecoglou. The loving is undeniable. People are eating their words, like myself. I'm no shame in it. I know exactly why I had question marks at the beginning. I stand by all those question marks. But fucking hell, he's been absolutely outstanding. And like I say, we're lucky to have him. I just enjoy every moment while he's here because we could be entering another special period in the club's history, and fingers crossed that we are. Now, I know there's a few Rangers fans watching. Everyone's been awfully nice in the comments, so I feel a bit bad bringing this up, but hey-ho, it's life. What were these sponsor boards and all that all about, Jonathan? I found it awkward seeing it because it was on the back of a week where they've pulled out of a tournament that was almost like associating themselves with us. And then it was, this is the Old Firm, and of every sponsor board. Then there was like a wee archway bizarre thing that the players walked under, which has now been photographed beside the wheelie bins outside Ibrox.
Right beside that Steven Gerrard cut it.
Now, like I say, there are Rangers fans in the group chat. My hunch is that a lot of yous were maybe cringing about that. It's like, right, okay, you call it Old Firm, we now call it Glasgow Derby. We all know the reasons why, because we're all saying that basically the entity of Rangers stopped existing in 2012. That's when the Old Firm thing died. Rangers' argument is you still sign a rights thing to Old Firm every year. Obviously, we say we do that because we don't want yous making money off something that involves us. So that's why we make sure that it can't be misused. Old Firm, Jonathan, though, plastered all over the stadium before the game. It's almost like they're trying to hang about with us. I don't get it. I'm not saying this to be like, taking the piss out Rangers or whatever. Surely I think their fans would have been cringing a wee bit when they seen it. It seemed fucking weird to me. I don't know what you thought of it.
I clocked it on the boards before I seen the archway, and I was thinking, what on earth is actually going on here? I was thinking they're really making a lot of effort to reference this as an Old Firm game, and I didn't really get it because I think, what's even more damning is the fact that their own fans have made their case very well known that they don't really want to be associated more with us than really we do with them in a lot of ways. And you've seen that with the protests over the last couple of weeks, over the friendly and the Ange homecoming and everything else. And I just kind of felt, from a Rangers point of view, I didn't really understand what the actual purpose was for it. I just kind of felt like they were just throwing that in as a bit of branding for no real reason. I don't know if they thought they were having a dig or what they thought they were doing with that, but the whole thing was very bizarre. And I was kind of like, usually when it comes to Celtic and Rangers, are quite tribal about promoting themselves on these days, and that almost kind of made it feel as if it was almost a bit touristy, in some ways, with them almost advertising it like that. It was just like, this is just, no, it just doesn't really belong in the stadium. It's not something either set of fans are going to look at and think, that was a really good display. We'll remember that one for years. It's just left everyone scratching their heads.
Well, that's the thing, though, Jonathan. That's a brilliant point because I think these games, Rangers' job is when they've got their home match, as is Celtic's when it's their home match, is to galvanise your fans, motivate them, play the right songs in that PA. Time at Celtic Park, you'll never walk alone for the right time, just as the players are in the tunnel, etc. Create that magic, whether it be now disco lights, it turns into welcome to 2022. Who would have thought that would be something that adds to the experience? It kind of does now, albeit I was sceptical at first, but now I've kind of went, no, that works. You're looking at this going, what Rangers fan was looking around that stadium going, why do they keep saying this is the Old Firm for? It's like saying, we're a couple. We are a couple. It was very strange, and I just don't know what they were trying to achieve from the fans with that. And I don't know if maybe you're right, it was a commercialism thing, but it was something that now, obviously, we're out the game. And at the time, I'm going, that's fucking weird. But I'm too busy focused on trying to keep my heart rate at a normal level, Jonathan. you know, and you're focusing on what's about to happen, and you're doing eventualities and what's going to happen on the pitch. But I remember I was like, that seems awfully odd. And then they're coming out like they're wee like archways if they've just got married. It was just like, what is this shit? And now the dust settled a bit, it feels like to me that was a complete own goal. Now, the vibe I get is Rangers fans were raging about the trip to Australia that they've now pulled out of, not because they were potentially getting paid less than us, but because I don't think they wanted any sort of association on some sort of tour with us. Yes, the Australian marketing of calling it the Ange Homecoming Tour, do their fucking nothing. I get that. But I think really the root of it was, we're not going on a tour with them. I think that was the vibe.
Yeah.
So why then, when you pull out of it, you listen to those concerns,
Yeah.
would you then have that splattered all around your stadium? I just thought it was weird. But what wasn't weird, and to be honest, Jonathan, I felt unsavoury doesn't cover it. I felt it was a bit dark, was Bottlegate. Now, I don't want to label and tar every Rangers fan with the same brush. And it's very easy to do that, Jonathan, but I have been very vocal about the fact that you know them really well. My two best friends in the world that I've known since I was 2 years old, and we still hang about now, are diehard Rangers fans.
Yeah.
And the two soundest people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And I know they will be absolutely mortified. One's a season ticket holder. He'll have seen that and just be going, oh my God. So I'm not going to sit and be that petty and go down that road. It's not my style. But there is an issue here, Jonathan, where not just one glass bottle's been flung and smashed, you know, around the area of Joe Hart's goal mouth, whether it's hit the bar, hit the post or something to cause that smash, because it was in bits on the pitch.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't do that landing on the grass. So I don't know. Why has he got a glass bottle on the ground? Well, everyone's been guilty of sneaking a hip flask, and I'm not going to say it's the biggest crime in the world, but fucking hell, you can't be throwing it on the pitch. This is madness. Then you're looking at the photos of the Celtic member of staff. Big, you know, stitches now required. Then you're looking at Jota getting coins thrown at him as Rangers just throw us £40 million. A bit ironic, but hey ho, if they can afford it, they can afford to throw more money at Celtic, Jonathan. That's absolutely fine. Then you look at it even at the end of the game. There's cups flying by the Celtic players as they go to clap their own fans in that corner. Now, we all remember that Scott Brown shouldn't have been near our corner, you know, and all that shite from a few years ago at Celtic Park. Well, you only give us 700 tickets now. So we're going over to that tiny wee corner. And you look at, I think it's James McCarthy's there, Scott Bain, maybe Jota as well. The players actually end up laughing as paper cups and all that are flying above them. But what is this? Like, when does that end? And does that end when it's a Rangers player, for example, or say it was the other way around? I'm not, as I said, I'm not going to a huge target and Rangers fans thing, but, you know, does that end when no one notices the glass that's smashed around Joe Hart's goal mouth because maybe it's near the corner flag or something and no one's noticed it, and it's actually Barisic that slides into it by accident and he rips his whole thigh muscle up, Jonathan, you know?
Yeah.
And you're looking at, you know, is that what it is? You then had Celtic do the unique angle, Jonathan, for every match. So
Yes.
they've got the wee camera at that brilliant unique angle. Cameron Carter-Vickers' goal picks up the most unbelievable moment. So Cameron Carter-Vickers scores, but if you look in the distance, and he looks an aging Rangers fan, right? He has decided, out of my seat, I'm going to run on the pitch. I'm going to run on the pitch because I'm that angry Celtic have scored a goal. That's it. There's no provoking this guy here. The ball hitting the back of the net was enough.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, a big Rangers fan, a big tall guy, jumps 2 rows sort of down and puts the guy in a headlock as he's trying to make his way to the field of play. This is going back to the dark ages, Jonathan. Now, I appreciate there's a lot of, and I listen to all the phone-ins, and that's how I've got a wee bit of a handle on it. Rangers fans feel Rangers have over-commercialised in the past few years and have lost their roots. But this isn't their roots that some of these fans are going back to. This is stuff that is just absolutely nowhere near relevant to the fixture. Whether you call it Old Firm, Glasgow Derby, I don't give a shit what you want to call it. This has no place in our game. And do you know what, Jonathan? See, when we all bitch and moan about Sky's TV deal, keep that in mind. See, and it'll be a loads of Rangers fans that'll be sitting right now saying, oh, TV deal's load of shite because of Doncaster. fucking have a look in the mirror, have a look at your own sets of supporters, and you tell me how that's a good advert for Sky to go, do you know what, they're right. Next TV deal will add another £30 million on it. Come on, eh?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing was just tragic, and it just shouldn't be happening at all in any game. It doesn't matter whether it's a Rangers fan, Celtic fan, whatever it is. Things like that just cannot be happening because, you know, and it's a shame because we've seen this happen in the past. You know, it's something that is unfortunately seems to come along with these games from time to time. There's a very ugly side to them, and you know that could have been a lot worse. You know, you've seen how much glass was on the pitch when it's in
crazy.
Joe Hart's goal mouth, and you know, imagine if that hits Joe Hart in the head. You know, you could do so much damage with that. It's actually frightening how you cannot think of the consequences of what happens there if you actually hit somebody over the head with a glass bottle that's just been launched at you. You know, it beggars belief that people could actually turn around and think that is an appropriate response to you know, conceding a goal or your team losing, to then be turning around and thinking, oh, that's all right, I'll just go and glass somebody for doing their job. Joe Hart's only there to play football. The Celtic staff member is there to do his role. It's like, what on earth is this all about? It was an absolute disgrace. And, you know, I wouldn't tar any set of supporters with that. I think these are individuals, but there is that element that does come out for games like this, and we've seen it time and time again. And your big concern is here, you're asking when does it stop? It might be a case that only stops when somebody actually ends up getting properly hit with one of these and somebody actually then sees the damage this can do. You really hope it doesn't come to that. But there's just only so many times things like this can happen. And you're just, as the Gallant Pioneer hopefully says, is hopefully the guys will get fined and they should be given a lifetime ban. They should really be sent packing to the cells, if you ask me. But there needs to be some sort of such strong action taken there, because without it, you just don't know what's going to happen.
The boy that flung the bottle must have hit the post of the bar. Sums their team up. That's good patter. That's good patter. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I just think that we don't want to be having guys getting stitches. Now, the thing is, the fact this is a Celtic backroom staff team member that's got the stitches is the saving grace here. Do you really think a Rangers fan was aiming for him? I don't know. Why would you be aiming for, you know, an unheard of physio or whatever? Who could it have hit? Where does that story then transpire? Where does it go? Again, it's just not a good look for our game that we all feel is being undervalued by the broadcaster. We do. We think that the money on offer is, what is it, marginally less than, you know, Austrian league. It's on par with like the Swedish league. We know fine well the number of views the SPFL fixtures get on our broadcaster are massive compared to these leagues. Massive, Jonathan. And all we're doing, well, I say we, I mean, all these people are doing is driving down that. And they're underselling what I think is, at times, a unique product, Scottish football, Jonathan. One that still has soul. One that hasn't fallen in the trap of modern football too much just yet. And yet, stuff like yesterday, when you see that shit, you're going, I just think that, you know, whoever it is that's in charge of the broadcaster's budget goes, that's why. You know, and I just think that's really disappointing. But anyway, what a night we've had. It is a time for celebration if you're a Celtic fan. We host St Johnstone next, Jonathan. I'll be back before then. Don't worry. We've got the Double Doon show with your mate Conan to look forward to this Friday or Saturday. I'll be back before then to sort of preview the St Johnstone game. The players should be getting a hero's welcome, I would imagine. And hopefully a big win as well. But we've got it all to look forward to. The league is very much in Celtic's hands now. I think you could go as far as saying one hand is on the trophy, if I may be so bold. I've loved the debate tonight. There's 234 watching live right as we speak. Not bad for a Monday night. Not bad for a channel just built on controversy, apparently, according to some bedwetters on Twitter. I have enjoyed myself massively. I will just quickly leave the link again for Boyce'S t-shirts in the comments because they were released today. If you buy one, thank you very much. If you don't, it's all good. Remember, there is free postage and packaging on all of them. I have took the hit on all of those myself, so don't worry about that. That means that they're just 20 quid a pop, basically, without any extra fees getting added at the end of the order. Jonathan, anything you want to add before we end what has been a mobbed Boyce'S Monday Club show?
Yeah, it's been a huge show. It's been an unbelievable weekend. I'll have to give my knockout of the week, because I know McGinley will be wanting it. And my knockout of the week goes to Greg Taylor, because I thought Greg Taylor was outstanding yesterday. I think people would have looked at him and thought, he's going to be a weak link for Celtic, and he could be the one to get at. And he made some absolutely crucial interventions. And I couldn't have been happier for Greg.
No, that's fair, Jonathan. That is fair. The knockout blow of the week goes to Greg Taylor. Phil McGinley says it's a great shout. If you've not hit like and subscribe, please do. Bruce is trying to keep me right with all that. Honestly, I'm shy at all this stuff, Jonathan. There is merchandise. Fanboyfootball.com, the legends that there are. There is now a Boyce'S section on there. If you don't want to buy any, that's sound. I'm not even wearing one tonight, Looking forward to seeing you all this week. I'm going to come back Wednesday, play some Championship Manager, talk some shite. The channel is on an absolute roll just now. I can't thank the over 200 of you that have watched live tonight. Over 500 for most of the show yesterday, and around 150 it was on Saturday night. We are flying. The Boyce bus keeps rolling. We're not flying as high as Celtic though right now. Take care. Good night. God bless. Hail, hail. See you later.
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.